The great Rabbi of Radin, the Chafetz Chaim, who lived at the end of the 19th and early 20th century, a fellow came to him. He is an employee in a building business. He works, in those days was very hard physical work, bringing bricks, put them together, going high on the ladder, etc. So he said to the Maran Chafetz Chaim, he said, I am overwhelmed with the hardship. He said, beside of the physical difficulty of carry, it's so hot sometimes, and I have the tzitzis, the Talit katan, which we require to wear. And he said, can I take it off when I walked in those hours? You know, it's very difficult for me. The weather is hot, the labor is hard. No, what do you think? So the Chafetz Chaim, in his sweetest way, he said, I'll give you a mashal, I'll explain to you in a little allegory. Imagine a very wealthy person with so much that he needs a bodyguard. But not one, he needs 3 bodyguards. This fellow is so afraid that he's been attacked, so he cannot move without the bodyguards anywhere. Do you know people like that? So one day, 2 of the 3 guards said, we're sorry, we can't help you. We cannot come and guard you. So he's stuck home. So the 3rd bodyguard said, oh, guess what? Since the other 2 didn't show up, so I'm free to go. What do you think the answer? Obviously, if this fellow wants to lose his job, he should propose it, because then he definitely is not going to be his bodyguards. So the Chafetz Chaim said the 3 items saving our people. What did they say? Read in a Sefer HaChinuch and read in rabbinic literature. Following the Torah ways is the tefillin, which it's a protection for a person. The mezuzah, the scroll on our doors, it's a protection. And the tzitzit, as we learn, if you remember on page 25, that it's keneged kol mitzvot, is equivalent to all the mitzvot. So he said, when you leave to work, you do not wear your tefillin. You do not have your mezuzah. The only thing left for protection is the tzitzit. If you take it off, then who is going to guard you? Now, we're going to talk today about the Talit. One of the subjects is the idea that a person sees that the Talit is, God forbid, about to be burned, so he consecrated it as an offering. Is that ineffective? We ask a general question that a set up of offering, is that an effective offering or not? Such as we use example, if it's a, God forbid, hurricane, and the person see that his home is about to disappear. So he contributed everything to tzedakah, and things turn around, can he back out? And we said no. Another subject we're going to talk today, it's about short marriages. Meaning, can someone precondition that he is going to marry someone for 1 day, and when the day is over, he's going to divorce her? If it was a precondition, if it's effective or not. If he married and it happens without expectation, obviously it's a process that can take place by giving a get. But how about if it was a precondition for 1 day? So we're going to study today page 29, but we start on page 28b, 5 lines from the bottom of the page. The Mishnah teaches us, Harei netiot ha'elu korban. Person said, this, he pointed out, these saplings are like an offering until they cut down. Or the same thing is said about the Talit. So they said, it can only, that's the way Tosfot and Ran said, can carry their sanctity. You cannot take away the sanctity, even you redeem it. So they said, Ule olam, you mean to say that a person cannot redeem it? Is that something that be forever? What's the purpose for that? Amar Rav Pada, פדען חוזרות וקודשות, פדען חוזרות וקודשות עד שיקצצו. Meaning until they are fell. If you redeem them, it's like a vicious cycle. It's coming back and coming back. Even it's effective, but it's going to that circle because of his original statement. That's the way the Ran said. Niktetsu, however, if they already failed, podeh pa'am achat v'dayor, he redeems them once and it is enough, because in that type of redemption it turned to be unconsecrated item. It's not returned to the level of sanctity, because his condition was ad shikatzetzu, until it's fallen. Ula disagreed with that, and Ula said, Ula amar, kevan sheniktetzu shuv ein podan. Once the saplings are fell, he no longer needs to redeem them. Why? Because you have here a precondition. He make a very clear condition that their consecration should continue only until they are fell. But the moment it happens, it's fell, so you don't have the sanctity anymore, and you don't need to redeem them. So when the Mishnah said that they are not redeemed, it doesn't mean it cannot be redeemed, but it means it's not necessary to redeem them. That's the way the Ran explained to us. Page 29. Omar le Rav Amnuna, Rav Amnuna said to Ula, Kedusha shebaim lecha, where is their sanctity goes? Because how come these saplings move to be an unconsecrated item without act of redemption? Kedusha shebaim le'an alcha. So how this type of consecrated spelling become non-sacred without have the process of redemption? ומאילו אמר לאישה, היום את אשתי ולמחרת את אשתי, בנפקא בלא גט. If person precondition, it says, you become my wife, I'm going to betroth you only for one day, which means the following day you're no longer my wife. Is that an effective? It's not. You can say that it's illogical, because the Gemara said in Tractate Gittin, page 83b, that if a person divorced his wife for one day, and he said that the next day he'll turn to be my wife, so it's the permanent divorce. And Rabbi Shimon Shkop explained in his Chidushim, chapter 20, that even it was a precondition that at the time of the betroth, that the only purpose of the Kiddushin of the betroth is only to be effective for one day. Since she is betrothed one day, she is betrothed forever, and she cannot be out without get, which means you don't differentiate between one day and 20 years of marriage. So the same you try to compare to something that is sanctified. Since a person is consecrated, this type of netiot, the moment that it's taking effect, even though that only purpose he made it is until it's fallen, so it's already forever sanctified. And without manner of redemption, you cannot do it. The Rogochover, the great rabbi of Rogochov, explained when it's come to a matter of Kiddushay Isha, the regular husband-wife betrothed, it's in a way Hefza. It's basically, it becomes part of you. It's a story about, I think his name is Rav Ades, that he preconditioned. He said that I want to marry only to fulfill the mitzvah of fruitful and multiply. And he conditioned that in advance with the woman, that he marry only to have children. He told her honestly that that's the purpose. And it happens that she agreed, and that's the way they made it. And after the baby was born, they divorced. But it was like set up in advance by both parties. Anyway. Omar le Rava Mika Medamit. Rava said, how do you compare sanctity inherited to its value to inherited sanctity? מי כמדע מקדושה? דמים מקדושת הגוף. That the woman betrothed to a man, קדושת הבן פקדה בכדי, קדושת הגוף לא פקדה בכדי. When it's come to in קדושת דמים, the money inheritance, so even without redemption, it's already past. But when it's come to the physical sanctity, it departs of his own accord. So the truth is, the Rosh explained that when you have Kedushat HaGuf, the physical sanctity, it's not by time management, by the time measure. So even you pass that time, you need to have redemption. The Ran said from the Ritva, from the Rashbam, sorry, he said specifically in Hekdesh, something that's sanctified, then you have Kedushat Damim Nifka. Why? Because a person can sanctify either for the purpose of offering Korban or for Damim, and that's have Ki'ut, but when it's come to husband and wife, you do not have Kinyan Damim, only Kinyan Guf, only the physical part. So you cannot have, it's no definition, it's no musag of Avka'a Atzmi, that it's by itself turned to be, for the better term, invalid. So it means today and forever as long as you don't have the get. So Abaye challenged that. And Abaye said, Kedushat HaGuf lo paga bichdi. You mean to say that inherit sanctity not depart with nothing being done? והתניא שור זה עולה כל 30 יום לאחר 30 יום שלמים, כל 30 יום עלה לאחר 30 יום שלמים. So here we have to know definition. When it's come to a burn offering עולה, it's Kodesh Kodeshim. Its total burn is total to Hashem, is the Holy of Holies. You have another category, it's called Shlamim, that's peace offering. Shlamim is Kodeshim Kalim, we said it every day, that it's lower. So he said, כל 30 יום עולה, לאחר 30 יום שלמים. So the Gemarrah said, Amai, why? Kedushat HaGuf ninu. This is an inherited sanctity. Upak'a bichdi, and it departs with nothing. So, because when you have the period of 30 days, you have it as a shlamim, as a peace offering, and you don't have any sanction as a result of that. It's just process. Hacham ma'askinan, ve'amar lidmei. Here we're talking about a situation that they said this ox should be sanctified for its monetary value. So it wasn't a consecration of animal. The idea is that this ox carries some blemishes, so you can sanctify it only for its monetary value. But if it was a perfect one that you can use it for the purpose of sacrificial offering, even if he sanctified only the money, it still carry the Kedushat HaGuf, the sanctity of the body itself. That's the way the Ran explained to us. יחד, the Gemara rejected that. If that's the case, אימה סיפה, לאחר 30 יום עולה ומעכשיו שלמים, after 30 days, it will be a burn offering, but from now until then it shall be a peace offering. So he said, היא אמרת בשלמה חדה בקדושת הגוף. If you tell me that one, it's the קדושת הגוף, the sanctity of the body, ומעכשיו, היא אמרת בשלמה אחד בקדושת הגוף, אחד בקדושה, if you tell me that one, dealing with his physical sanctity, and the other segment is dealing with the monetary sanctity. 29b, היינו דיסטריכלה לתנא למתני תרתי. So therefore, the Tana of the Braita needs to teach us both part, the Salkada Tachamina. Kedushat הגוף לא פקעה בכדי, קדושת ימים פקעה בכדי. We have to remember that we have two entities here. We have one, it's called Kedushat הגוף, the physical sanctity. The second one is the monetary sanctity. So therefore, he can say that you have a situation that only one of them is no longer in effect. No longer it's depart on its accord. Am tu lehachi Tana tarte. So because of this, the Tana taught both clauses, because the Tana want to demonstrate that it's no differentiation between the two. Both depart with nothing being done. But if you tell me that both the Reisha and the Seifa, the first clause and the last one, occupied with the monetary sanctity, why the Baraita needs to teach us both bavot? Because the last clause it's superfluous, there's no need. Hashta yesh lomar mikdusha chamura likdusha kala paka. When the animal is going from more stringent sanctity to less stringent sanctity, which is from olah to shlamim, from burn offering to peace offering, that the early sanctity departs of its own accord. Because the Rosh and the Shita Mekubeset explain that the sanctification of burn offering, we hold it much stringent more than the peace offering. Why? Olah, we said every morning, right? Olah is Kodesh Kodashim, is the burn offering, is total holy because everything is burned, nothing left. Peace offering, Shlamim Kodashim Kalim, it's a relatively light offering, it's below than that level. So it means Mikdusha Kala, Likdusha Chamura, you have the animal going from a less stringent sanctity to a more stringent sanctity, from a peace offering to a burn offering. So he said, so that's not according to Rabbi that he differentiate between Kedushat Guf and Kedushat Mammon. So he said, Leimate v'tuvte de bar pada, de amar lo paka kedusha bichdi. So this may be total refutation of Rav Pada, that he said that even a monetary sanctity, but any type of sanctity is not, doesn't have any ki'ah, doesn't have any part of being departed, because even the time, the pkiat zman, that because it's the sanctity can depart on its own accord. Omar Rav Papa, Omar lach bar pada, הכי כאמר, אם לא אמר מעכשיו שלמים, לאחר 30 יום עולה הווה. מי דדאבה אומר לאישה התקדשי לאחר 30 יום מקודש לה ודאי שלכלו אמרות. Someone betrothed a woman. And he said, you become my wife 30 days from now. And he gave, for example, a document So if somehow that document torn during the 30 days, she is no longer betrothed because it was effective at the end of that period. Here we talk about the money, and the money disappeared during that time. It's still considering mekudeshet. So that challenge what Bar Pada said, he said pshita. Why the bride need to? So lo tzricha de adarbe. You have to say that that the vower changed his mind in the 30 days. He retracted it. So the Tana wants to tell us that it's still olah, and you have an effect after 30 days. That even he retracted, it's still effective. Not everyone goes along with that. The Ran and Parashat Nedarim and others said no, that even if he retracted it, you have to analyze exactly how he retracted it. But in short, what we try to say is all this retraction is ineffective, in very short. The Hekdesh is still fulfilled and the Hekdesh have an effect. When? At the end of the 30 days period. It's a story about the Imre Cohen. Imre Cohen, but Michael Hollander, was a great rabbi in Europe. So in those days they have a segula. They have a special amulet, is that correct? Segula? Anyway, they say that women have issue of delivery. Pregnant women have issue of delivery. They take a avnet, a gartel, a belt of the Sefer Torah, and they let her wear it. That's what they said. And it's kind of protection, spiritual protection. So based on this Gemara, they ask this question, the Chazon Nachum, the great rabbi. My brother-in-law is the mashgiach in that yeshiva, Chazon Nachum, Reb Nachman Vilelem. Anyway, so they ask, you bring a raya, you bring a proof from the story of the discussion between Rabbi Akiva Eiger and his son-in-law, the Chatan Sofer. The question is, you have a shul that needs money. So they have all this crown, silver crown of the Torah, and all kind of items. Can they sell it? It's not Torah itself. So basically it's carry kedushat haguf, the sanctity of the physical sanctity. You cannot redeem it. So here you ask a question, how come they do that? With the belt and the segula. So you have a big malach, a big explanation, when and how. So a side note, I saw it in the Laniado Hospital and other places, that people take the Noam Elimelech, the Melech of Lizhensk's book, small version of these books, and put it under the pillow of the Yoledet. I heard it. Some people does that. Anyway, Hanicha leman de'amar eina chozeret. The Reish Lakish in Tractate Kiddushin, page 59b, said that if someone betroth a wife for the period of after 30 days, eina chozeret. So that he cannot retract her consent. So it means that it's effective after 30 days. So the same in juxtaposition to here, the vower cannot retract his word during the 30 days. According to her, that this Kiddushin, Rabbi Yochanan hold that since you don't have Chalot Kiddushin, so it's only talk about Kiddushin. So therefore one talk can annul the others. Reish Lakish said no, he cannot say that. ואפילו למאן דאמר האטם חוזרת, החשן את אמירתו לגבוה כמסירתו לאדיוט. So it's because you have a total kinyan, a total maaseh kinyan, it's already done deal. So several halachic practical halachot, practical implication. Someone buy a property ala niyar, which means you sign a contract, but it's not built yet. So if you subjugate the estate, the land, it's different story, right? You put a lien. But if not, God forbid, if it's a earthquake, right? Is that insured or not? Who's paying the damage? Based on this sugya. Or another point based on this sugya, you have a special evening and you honor someone, and that fellow committed himself with his big honor to $100,000, 10,000 each year for 10 years. Get a huge honor. He paid the 10,000 the first year, the 10,000 the second year, and then he says, oh, they changed the honor, these other people now honored, I don't have the honor I used to. He wants to back out the commitment of 100,000. Is that okay? Or another response in conjunction to this sugya is, if someone adopted a poor baby, really heartbroken case, and he very happy with this mitzvah and he taking care of the child, and one day you see a very wealthy person, he says, you know, it's so much money, it cost me all the expenses and everything for this child. So the rich person was very enthused, so he said, don't worry, I'll help you. And he even gave a number. And 2 months later he comes to him and says, you didn't send me a penny. So the question is, do you say amirato legavoa kimsirato leediot, if that basically applies here? So it's a poskim, the rabbis have a discussion, since the person is going to pay anyway for that baby, so is that tzedakah commitment or not tzedakah commitment? Because the rich person figure out you are the one who adopted the child, you take care of the child anyway. So is that considering tzedakah, that he commit himself to help in the expenses? Or since you know and he knows that you're taking care of that child anyway, so it's not considering his tzedakah commitment. It's based on this sugya, you see these this variety of way to see it.
Shuloim, Malachai, Shuloim, Malachai.